So, it's Friday, it's 7 p.m., and you know what that means. It's time for the next installment of Anna Raftery's Taft Trip Report. Woo! I'm John Coxon. I will be interviewing Anna Raftery. I feel like I've introduced myself in previous episodes, so I'm going to introduce Anna. She won TAF in 2016 and went to Mid-Americon in Kansas City.
Yes.
And as part of her TAF trip, she visited a city called Seattle.
I did. Hello, I'm the aforementioned Anna Raftery, previous TAF winner.
That sounds like your superhero title, The Amazing Spider-Man, the aforementioned Anna Raftery.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I feel like I could probably come up with a better superhero name, but that's fine. I've also gone, it's not quite as vibrantly pink as my 2016 TAF trip, but I am pale pink in homage.
Excellent stuff.
We've been in lockdown forever, so, dramatic haircuts are mandatory.
No, yeah, and I think yours looks better than mine with my, I don't know if this is coming up on the Zoom at all, but parts of my head are much shorter than they usually are.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yes, you went to Seattle after having visited Toronto, which is very pleasing to me because that is also the thing I did after going to Toronto, which is great.
It was obviously inspired by your paving the way or something.
Wit, handsomosity, dashing good looks.
Trip.
Perhaps not. Trip. Okay, we'll go with trip. Fair enough. Yeah, and you stayed with, I have this written down, Jane Hawkins.
I did. It was lovely.
Yes. So yes. I don't think I've had the pleasure of meeting Jane. Is she a fan that you knew through fandom already, or is she someone in Seattle area fandom who you met through the trip?
Yes, someone in Seattle area fandom. I think Ulrika asked around to see who was available, and Jane kindly let me take over her spare bedroom for a few days. And I feel more than any other trip, it ended up, because I was taken out by other people and doing other things, I think we barely actually got the opportunity to spend much time together as we were on different schedules, but she was really lovely. Told me all about her, how she held a convention for her birthday once, and I was like, that's I mean, it sounds like the dream, but then also I realised I would need to plan a convention and run it, and for my birthday, and that doesn't sound fun. Somebody else doing it for my birthday sounds amazing.
That's fair. That is
exactly, yeah.
Excellent stuff. So, and how long did you? I think you stayed in Seattle for 5 nights. Have I got that right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. So 5 nights. There was 4 days of. They were all really packed, actually. Well, there were 4 days of lots of things, but all of them actually felt very. I didn't feel overstressed or anything, and in fact, one of the days I pretty much took as a day off. So yeah, I think, I'm not sure. We'll have to double check timings, but I think the first thing that I did was Ulrika took me to the EMP and the Seattle Centre. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
And you went to the EMP on the 3rd of August, which is the kind of first full day you were in Seattle. So that tallies. I have your Facebook status because, as we've mentioned, research and stalking are worryingly close to one another. How did you find? So I've also been to the EMP. I didn't go on my TAF trip. I've been with my parents. How did you find it?
I really loved it. I think while a lot of the SF uh, content, I guess, that's there is all amazing, and all of the Star Trek memorabilia, or does it really count as, I suppose memorabilia is the right word, and artifacts. I think the part that really I loved was there was like the fantasy pop culture section, I think, so lots of like Wizard of Oz and that kind of pop culture. It is now the Museum of Pop Culture.
Yes, so when you went, it was the
So,
Experience Music Project, which shared a venue with the Science Fiction Hall of Fame, I believe.
yeah, I think
and now
like
it's
that.
the Museum of Pop Culture. And it's basically Paul Allen, who is one of the co-founder of Microsoft. It's his personal collection made into a museum, because that's what happens if you're a millionaire, right? You just have a museum for your stuff.
I mean,
fandom taken to extremes. Yeah, I'm gonna say. It give me a lot more room around the house.
This is our museum for our stuff. There's a reason I can't have a Zoom background.
Your fandom is too strong for Zoom, Anna. Too strong.
Yeah, it's just Warhammer and Star Wars and board games. Anyway,
so did you enjoy the music or the SF side more, would you say?
I think as a kind of museum experience, I liked the music more, because I don't know as much about, so it's kind of about music and history of it, but then there's also that like production side of it and kind of using sound in different ways, and I find that really interesting as kind of a museum, well, as a creative art aspect. I find that very interesting. So it was almost like a art museum but for music. It kind of felt more like that, and I love art museums of all kinds. So I think as an experience I enjoyed that more. As a museum experience I enjoyed that more, but then the kind of science fiction and fantasy side has so much like inherent nostalgia, and it's just like your childhood but also your parents' childhood, and all this kind of stuff there, and pretty sure at least a couple of the Star Trek things I got a little bit emotional, because we watched a lot of Star Trek with Dad, and he's the one who got us into that. So that was as a kind of TAF trip part, that was really fun and felt very satisfying. So I enjoyed both parts of the museum in a different way, but I found the whole experience really great. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And is that, did you, I don't remember you mentioning, and I might just be misremembering, but is that the first museum you go to in your trip? Did you go to any museums in Toronto or New York?
I think it might be, actually. Went to the library, went to the Merrill, but we didn't go to, I don't think we went to any other museums, and it might actually be the only museum I go to on the trip, which
okay.
Yes, I think it might actually be the only museum I go to on the trip.
It's certainly a worthy candidate.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, although I don't know if that's going to be the next question, but I think the thing that I found the most amazing experience, and possibly one of the parts that I remember so clearly, is that after, I think it must have been after, I think we did that first, we went to the Kahuli? Let me double check. The Chihuly,
yes.
Yes, Chihuly exhibition in the Seattle Center. And that is just mind-blowing. It's just amazing. And is now one of my absolute favorite artists. He last year had did an exhibition for like about 10 months, or I suppose 8 months at the Kew Gardens, and that's why we ended up getting a Kew membership, because I wanted to go see it so much and we saw it so many times. So the Chihuly exhibition he's a glass artist.
Okay.
And
how do you spell Chihuly? Because I did try and Google it and I do not think I got the right spelling.
Chihuly.
Excellent, thank you.
Yes.
Because now I can go and look at. I'm a huge fan of glass artwork, so as soon as you mentioned it, I was like, "Ooh, that sounds cool."
Yes, the Chihuly Garden and Glass is what his long-term exhibition at Seattle Center is, and basically taking over the whole of the gardens, and because it's such a wide range of the art he does, and from like quite small pieces to quite large, it's the way that he uses the glass is almost like it plays with the surroundings. So it's kind of almost organic, and yet it's completely not, and very alien, and just so it basically makes it feel like you're walking through an alien landscape, which I feel is probably appropriate for this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, seriously phenomenal, and just like, I think even if I hadn't done any of the other amazing things that I did while I was in Seattle, that I think is like just such an amazing experience. So yeah, we did mean to take you and Espana last year to the Kew. Obviously that didn't happen. But yeah, we did manage to go a few times while it was at Kew, and it was kind of amazing just to see a similar but different thing of just this weird alien like landscape and things in the greenhouses, things coming down from the ceiling and all this kind of stuff. But yes, definitely check out Chihuly.
I'll have to look him up and see if he's got anything coming coming near me, as it were. But it sounds really, really cool.
Yeah.
And but I didn't know that your Kew Gardens membership had been inspired by your TAF trip.
Yes, so we saw. I saw that he was going to have an exhibition there. Yes, Kew last year. Yes. We saw that he was doing an exhibition there last year, and so we thought about going to see the exhibition. And before it started, we decided, well, why don't we just go for our anniversary last year? And we hadn't bought each other presents, so we're like, well, let's just get a membership as our anniversary presents. And it was really great. So it meant that we got to go. I think in the end we didn't go as often as we would have liked to go, but we did go a few times, including for my birthday in the summer, and at least 2 or 3 times while the exhibition was on. So truly phenomenal. I have lots of pictures I will post at some point. But yeah, it's just amazing. But it was 100%, I recognised the art from the trip to Seattle, and I was surprised I don't have many pictures of it up on my Facebook, because I took so many pictures while I was there, and I'm pretty sure I still have them. So maybe I will put those up as a memory of. I'll see whether I still have them in my phone. I think I still have. Probably really need to clear out my phone photos, but I'm pretty sure I still have.
Who deletes their phone photos? And this is like, if you still have them, like, where would they have gone?
And because it's Apple, it just moves on to the next thing. But yes, I have. I'm pretty sure I still have them, and so 100%, I'll maybe I'll put them up on Facebook or something after this of more pictures from the Seattle part of the trip, because I'm sure I have more, but I only seem to have put 2 up, which is a bit odd.
So we will, when we release these videos, our plan is to include photographs that Anna took, so that when you read the transcripts and watch the videos back, you can see some of the photos. And if you have photos of the Q exhibition or of the Seattle one, that would be really cool to include.
Definitely have lots of both.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah, I think the reason there's not much on Facebook is I was actually really just out all day on all of the days, which was fantastic. And orgasm from the actual day.
That's like
presumably.
No, and that's another thing. Like I shall be contacting people who you've mentioned to ask them if they can send bits and bobs over. But yeah, I think that was definitely something I found on my trip, is that you get less and less time as you go through to kind of keep up with your, I don't want to say admin necessarily, but like to keep curating all of the memories you're making. And I definitely sympathize with that. I mean, as my trip went through, I was less and less and less detailed in my diary entries, and I think that's entirely normal, because you're having too much fun, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. And I just had such a fun time, and that day was really great. And I can't necessarily remember exactly what else we did. Maybe we can't remember. I'm sure we did something that evening. But yeah, those two things were just completely fantastic on that day.
My experience of Seattle was that it contained a lot of beer. I don't know whether you drank a lot of beer or other alcohol in your Seattle times, but
lovely segue there. Is that?
I'm great at segues.
I've never been on one. I think it would be dangerous. But yes, John, I did. I'm not sure whether it was the second day or third. One of the days, Jerry and Suzel took me out for the day. And this was another day with lots of driving. So extremely belated continued apologies for essentially just sleeping all the time as soon as I got in the car. We'll just put that as a blanket apology.
We'll have like a title slide at the start of all these videos saying
I'm really sorry.
Would like to
belatedly apologise for not having been medically treated correctly at the time. But there you go. Yes, and we went to a meadery, which was so cool.
This sounds amazing. I have never been to a meadery.
It was so cool. Yes, so we went to a meadery and it was really empty. I think it was there wasn't anyone else there when we went, and basically it was really fascinating because the person behind the counter at the meadery kind of told us all about their process and their different meads and the different things that they do. And then I think there are a couple of different options, and I was like, I'll go for the one where I can taste as much mead as possible, thank you very much. So I think it was like half a dozen or something meads that I got to taste.
So jealous.
Oh, it was really lovely. And I mean, I've been in fandom long enough that or UK fandom long enough that I've done a few Far Isles events back in the day, if I can still say back in the day.
What's a Far Isles event?
The Far Isles, do you know the SCA?
Oh, Far
like
Isles.
Far Isles, yeah. So
the SCA is the Society for Creative Anachronism, right?
Yes.
I've never.
Far Isles is a group.
Yeah, I don't know much about them.
There's there's a British Break Off, not Bake Off. Sorry. Yes, huzzah. Of the SCA. So back in the day, it was probably when I was about 16 to 18 or 19. I think when I went to university, I didn't have as much time. But yeah, so obviously, having been known, having been going to fandom for a long time and getting to try all this kind of stuff, I had experience of mead of various qualities and home brewedness.
That's fair.
That is probably where I'm going. So yeah, that was a really lovely experience. It was just a really lovely day of like amazing vineyards, so many vineyards, and then trying all this mead and getting to hang out with Cecil and Jerry, and so that was really cool. And they took me to the gonna not be able to remember the name. How do you pronounce?
So just for posterity, the place they took you was the Sky River Meadery, which is in Woodinville wine country. And I now want to go there. It is now on my big list of places to go. So
I'm glad I could help.
Yeah. My first exposure to mead was through the Peterborough Beer Festival, where they serve you mead in a pint glass. But they don't serve you a pint of mead, which is sad. They do like a responsible amount of mead, but it goes in the pint glass. So, yeah. A pint of mead would be too much mead, or the right amount, but unhelpful.
Yeah, I think probably is actually too much mead.
Fair enough.
Think it probably is too much mead. So yes, and then they also took me to. Now, do you want to try and say it? Or should I?
I mean, I think they took you to the
Snoqualmie
Snoqualmie Falls. Pretty sure I've got that 100% right.
Yes.
Feel very confident about it.
Yes. Good. You can be confident about it. A pint of mead is all you need. Yeah.
People are filking in the chat. Oh no.
Yes.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Suzel and Jerry said that they are always willing to take people there. So I think it's just an excuse for them to go.
100%. But that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it should work.
But yeah, it was fantastic. Then we went to, I think it was in that order. We went to the falls, which was really gorgeous. And sorry, I'm being distracted by the comments. I should not look. What?
Never read the comments, Anna.
Never read the comments.
First rule.
Yeah, you can tell we've been doing this a while. I didn't care enough to like put makeup on or something like that. We've been in lockdown. The last two I put makeup on. I'm like, oh, God, no, it's too much. Yeah.
You still look fabulous. Big hair, excellent glasses.
Well, yeah, exactly. That distracts from everything else. Just before we started, Alison reminded me that I also got taken to see the Fremont Troll, which I'd completely forgotten about, but she showed me a picture and immediately I was like, oh my God, yes, we saw this. It was so fantastic and weird. And I love like weird art things, installation things like that. And it's just those kind of...
And Seattle's full of them.
Oh yeah, exactly. I think Seattle... I really, I think one day, I've been there twice, and both times they've only had about 4 days, like quite short amounts of time. And that time has either been, I've been so exhausted I've not been able to do anything, or like so packed with stuff that I haven't really had the opportunity to go around as much. But it's definitely one of those places I think that I'd love to have some time to actually explore and experience it. Mm-hmm. It seems like the kind of city that I think I would really love to be in. So yeah, that's someday. Possibly further away than I would have a few years ago would have thought, but someday it will happen. But yeah, it was a really lovely day. And to bring it back to the first session of this, where all I talked about was food, is we also went for really amazing sushi.
I love sushi.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I ate more sushi than is socially polite, but it was amazing. I
thought you were going to say like more sushi than I should, but more sushi, a rude amount of sushi.
Well, I had many more plates than they did. Let's say that. And there was a moment of just like me kind of going, no, I understand that I'm paying. Like, it wasn't we'll take out the tap dinner. No, that's not what's happening here. I'm not stopping. But yeah, anyway, I really good sushi. Very good time.
Excellent. I remember
Yes.
having great Mexican food in Seattle, I think. But that's my most abiding memory, if I recall. But yeah, and so I've written here that you hung out with various people. Did they throw a party for you in Seattle? Was there was there a pub meeting or anything?
Okay, I think there was a party. I have
Excellent.
a memory of a party at someone's house. I'm pretty sure it was in Seattle, but I can't be sure. I'm hoping that maybe Eureka
Someone will pipe
can
up
comment,
in the chat.
be like, yes, we did this and we did that. I think that we had a party.
The best parties are parties you're unsure whether they happened, because that indicates certain things about the time you had.
I'm pretty sure I really enjoyed it. There was so I can't remember if we talked about this in previous ones, but as you may remember, the summer of 2016 was also yes, okay, yeah, we did have a
Kate
party.
and Glenn through the party.
At Kate and Glenn's. Okay, great. I didn't imagine it. Yes, we did have a party, and it was great. I may end up talking about this in other. I think it was a Vanguard. So yeah, it was a very weird political time because
yes, it would have been.
But Brexit had just gone through, well, been voted on or whatever. But we're not going to talk about
things
details.
had gone bugger up.
Yeah, and at the time was when all the so it was the debates were happening in America.
Yeah, because it was.
I mean, this is the weird political time that we go. Sorry, Alison has asked a weirder political time than now, and I'm like, actually, yes, because the
100%.
weird political time that we're happening now is a direct consequence of the weird political time then.
Yeah, this is the same weird political time. It's just that it's been going for 4 years now and shows no sign of stopping, which is fun.
Exactly, and now it's just, extra things going on top. Yeah, so there were a couple of times where there were some very awkward conversations. But what I'm saying is Seattle did not have that. I did not have that experience in Seattle. And it was actually really nice because there wasn't a kind of a weird thing of people asking me about what the hell happened in Britain, like I had any power to change it if I could.
Yeah. So Jerry has pointed out that
it was a very weird time.
It was a Vanguard because you were there in the first week of August, so it would have been the first Saturday. So that's good.
Yes.
Tracking it down.
Yes.
Did you find?
So it was a Vanguard.
I'm trying to remember whether I noticed the differences in politics on my trip. I can't really remember. Obviously, I was mostly staying with people who were to the left of the political spectrum.
Most of the people I saw was actually. I need to go and answer the door for Andrew. He forgot.
Oh no!
Voice. I'll be right back. Sorry.
I'll just hum music. Da, 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 da.
Sorry, baby.
Da, 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 da. Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun. Okay, back. Sorry. What are we talking about? Sorry, what were you saying? Nearly everyone in our fandom. Yeah, exactly. I think 99% of the people I spoke to is lefty. But I just had a very quick memory of a future party that we may talk about. That's why I mentioned that. But yeah.
In future videos.
So yeah, it was a really lovely, yes, a couple of videos time.
Yeah. Awesome. So,
take you to the pub. Yes, at the Elephant and Castle, which I found really funny since I'm from South London, and so it was,
excellent.
I've been to Elephant and Castle quite a few times. It doesn't look like that. But yeah, that was good. It's always good. A giant ugly roundabout. Exactly. No, it was not a pub that was designed to look like a giant block of flats in a roundabout. I went to, sorry, this is a segue, just being a Londoner, but I went to Elephant Castle recently, and there was this whole like gentrified bit, and it was really weird. And I went with an American, and they were talking about how amazing it would be to live here, and how like rich everyone must be to live here. And I'm just like, there is a lot of political things that there's a yeah. Let's not go into that. Anyway, sorry. The ever gentrification of every part of poorer parts.
Yeah, it's not just London, but yeah.
Oh well.
So Jerry says that the pub that Toronto fans go to is also an Elephant and Castle. So this makes me wonder whether there's some sort of like conspiracy. So how was the Elephant and Castle, other than not looking like a giant ugly roundabout?
I don't remember. I remember that I always find it fun to go to pubs in America.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was there we met some other fans who are like, it was just, I think there were some younger people there as well. So that was kind of talking to them was quite fun, like from different fandom experiences. I mean,
yeah.
So that was quite fun, and then also the thing of like explaining like what I'm doing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
To Finnish people, but not our Finnish people. But yeah, it was really nice.
Did I tell you the story about going to the pub in Toronto?
I don't know.
I went to an English pub in Toronto, or it might have been. I think it was an English pub. It could have been an Irish pub. I wouldn't want to bet either way. But you know, a pub rather than a bar. And the waitress asked if I'd like another beer, and they had like a variety of lovely microbrews, but the menu was not nearby. So I asked her to surprise me, and she brought me a Guinness, which did surprise me, but not in the way I was hoping it would. But
also, I feel like, did she do that because of your accent and think, I'll give a taste of home, or?
I don't know, but she achieved her goals.
Yeah,
and that was
true.
It was good. But yeah, so did you? So Ulrika says it was the Northwest SF Society folks that you met at the castle. So on the topic of different fandoms, did you interact much with your Filk side in Seattle, or was it mostly kind of the Worldcon fandoms?
It was mostly
Filk side.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose technically. So one of the days, or one after, at some point, I guess it was probably one of the days, I actually went, because I kind of, at that point, it was like the third city, and I was feeling a little overwhelmed, meeting so many new people. So I talked to my friend Shannon Maguire, and so she had, at the time, relatively recently moved up to Seattle from Bay Area, because it was that kind of, I've known her since I was like 15 or something, and so it's that, yes, I suppose we probably met through Phil, but actually it's that friend I needed to just get a bit of time away from people, And also aware of the fact that probably won't actually spend much time with her at Mid-Americon because
She'd
as
be
you are,
busy.
yes, she is a very busy person at conventions now.
Yeah.
And I'm extremely, like, so ridiculously proud of her. And all of the hard work that she's doing. But it does mean that it's a very different experience. And like, from my side, I find it quite stressful because if she needed me to be part of her, like, squad of people who kept other people away, I would, but actually generally that's not what I can do at a convention because I'm nearly always in a weird fluctuation of extremely excited and extremely anxious at conventions. And so yes, I find it quite stressful, which we've talked about. It's a very weird thing now, but I was like, let's take the opportunity to actually just hang out and get away from people that I don't know. Plus she has amazing cats and a, at the time, basement full of Monster High dolls, and she had already got me into buying Monster High dolls.
Was it her? Was it Seanan that got you into Monster High dolls?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know
like
that.
a couple of years before that, because she'd come over to the UK and we took her to a Toys R Us here because there was a doll that had been released over here that wasn't released in the US. And I was like, oh, these are cool. And then I got some, and then I got more, and then I got more.
So
and then they changed. Then they changed the design, which is actually really lucky because otherwise I'd probably still be buying them.
So for those who don't know what we're talking about, Toys R Us was a chain of toy stores that used to exist in the old days and now doesn't because the
Anyone remember Woolworths?
No, so Monster High dolls were well. Anna, you will do a much better job of explaining this than me. They were funky dolls.
They're dolls.
They were great. It's pretty.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like, that's all very nerdy, but next to us we have our display case, which contains Monster High dolls, Warhammer painted.
That's fair.
What are these figurines? I guess. And
toy soldiers.
And Harry Potter Lego. Have you not seen this? Anyway,
they are, if monsters went to high school and there were dolls of them, that would be Monster High.
Yes. So originally, what part of the appeal is they had different molds for all of the different characters, and so you actually, I mean, they're all like skinny and wear ridiculously high heels, but there is variety in like the face shapes and some of the things, and so they're all kind of interesting and different. And then they changed it so it's all much more generic and the same and a bit more twee. So but they're quite cool, and I'm a collector. Therefore, once I start getting into something, I get a lot of it. But yes, we did go to actually that part of the trip. We went to a Toys R Us and I bought way too much because I then had to unpack them all and wrap them carefully in clothes to pack them in my suitcase because I bought too many dolls.
So I was going to ask whether you collected anything on your TAF trip, and now I don't have to.
I bought booze, I got some gin, and I got some Monster High dolls, which were basically I collected.
I mean, that is on brand. That is, I like that.
Exactly. I actually, one thing I did get is Seanan had gotten a second of the San Diego Comic-Con edition of the Monster High doll, and she gave it to me, and I still have it in the box.
Oh wow!
I will show it just because it's
so for those who don't know, I mean, I assume most people are probably aware, but San Diego Comic-Con exclusives tend to be extremely expensive afterwards. If you were not at the show, so being able to get one is good. Being able to get one from a friend is the best.
So
my goodness!
And it's the steampunk one, so she's like a robot.
That is so gorgeous.
I know. So yes, that's probably like the coolest thing that I got on my trip. And yeah, so we went shopping. We played some Pokemon Go because that was the peak of Pokemon Go that summer.
Yeah.
And what else did we do? We watched Steven Universe. And it was
Excellent.
a really lovely day.
Is that when you discovered Steven Universe?
Oh, no. I was already into Steven Universe. So that was... and actually, it was weird because the season that had been airing while I was there, I hadn't watched. And so we caught up, and it was a extremely emotional episode, as many Steven Universe episodes are. But yeah, so that was for those who have watched Steven Universe, it was the Lapis Lazuli and and Jasper Malachite episodes on the boat.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I think I'm trying to remember, but I think I'm right in saying that I got into Community on my TAF trip. I think that was the first time I'd watched Community. I might have been slightly earlier, but I think it was on my TAF trip. So yeah, I have full memories of that.
I have. I don't think there was anything I got into while I was there because I don't think I really had much time to watch stuff. I did on a previous trip to America years before we got shown Firefly for the first time.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. So cool. There we go. Yeah.
So had you travelled in America much before your TAF trip, and where had you already been?
So I'd been to America I think 2 or 3 times before. So once was when I was quite young. North America. We flew into Seattle, but we went up to Vancouver because that's where my mum's family are. So we were visiting them, and we stayed with them for a few weeks. And that was weird because most of the time we were there, we're at her sister's house, and her sister lives kind of far out from the actual city. And the only thing that was close by at the time was a massive cinema multiplex. Literally the only thing, because it was supposed to all be built and it wasn't built yet. And so that trip basically just me and Emily going to the cinema and watching anything that was on and eating Ben and Jerry's and having an entire cinema to ourselves because nobody was there at 10 o'clock in the morning at on a Wednesday. So yeah, anyway, and I think the other time I went over for a film convention, where a close friend of a UK friend of ours was a guest of honour, and that's actually where my dad met Gwen Knighton. So that's where they first met, was when we went over there. Yeah, to that convention. We went to Bill and Brenda Sutton's New Year's Eve party, and that's where they met. And the last time, I think I told you we were a guest of honor, but I mentioned that was the other time I went over there. And that time we did a kind of a long tour where I went to San Francisco and Boston, and then to Toronto, and then to Vancouver.
Cool. Fair enough.
But that's when I was younger, yeah.
I went to Vancouver on my TAF trip, but I went to the one in Washington State rather than the one in Canada. So not sure if it counts. Probably doesn't really.
No, probably not.
So, I had a follow-up question, and it was going to be witty and sparkle, and I cannot remember what it was for the life of me.
No. I'm trying to think what else I did on the trip. I actually saw my other cousin from Canada, from Vancouver, who drove down from Vancouver to Seattle so he could see me, as in Toronto my cousin drove up from Michigan to Toronto to see me. So that was quite nice. There's the two different sides of the family. Yeah.
Yeah. I like how you've got family like just everywhere in this story. It's great. It,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
must have been
Actually,
really cool.
even next time in San Francisco, I basically made my brother, stepbrother Gavin, come out on like my entire trip. I'm like, no, you're coming with us. We'll feed you. We'll take you to this stuff. Got him in. Yeah. So
Excellent. That's really cool. Yeah. So it is 10 to 8. So if anyone in the
yes.
chat has any questions for Anna about
Mhm.
her time in Seattle, please feel free to fire them at us, and we shall consider and answer them. People hopefully will do that.
I'm going to ask
But
Andrew
yeah.
to bring me another beer.
Excellent. That is a very good plan. I like that plan. So you mentioned going to the meadery, but you haven't told many stories about Seattle food other than the sushi. So are there any other food highlights that you remember?
I
For me,
did
it was
have.
everything bagels.
I had everything bagels when I was in New York.
That makes sense.
And
now that is service.
Archie McPhee's. I don't know.
Archie McPhee's is a toy, maybe not a toy shop, but like a prank shop. But I went there. I'm trying to think how best to describe it.
Let me have a look it up because I'm wondering whether I did. Novelty items, maybe. We went to somewhere like that with my cousin, so it might be.
I think it's quite.
Archie McPhee's. Oh no, I did go there. I can't remember who took me. I don't think it was my cousin, but yes, we did go there. Maybe it was Shonan, but yes, and it's weird novelty items and like it's almost like a party store kind of thing. But yeah. Yes, I did. That was quite fun. I don't think I bought anything. But yeah, that was good. What else did I do? We went to. I'm pretty sure I had at least some good coffee there. I think this was before I knew what good coffee was. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah. So it was before I was
still in love with
into
Starbucks.
coffee. Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
God,
yeah.
We're such fools. But yeah, I think we went to like a Starbucks. I went to a Starbucks for the thing of being to a Starbucks.
Did you go
Seattle.
to the first Starbucks?
Possibly.
Okay. I didn't go on my TAF trip, but I have been. It is a Starbucks. It's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like and we went to I think I went to a weird ice cream place with my cousin, but again, I think we went to a relatively touristy area when I went with him.
That makes sense. I feel like that's the sort of thing where if you've got someone coming from out of town, you're going to gravitate towards the more touristy things, right? So that I think makes sense. Ulrika reminds me that the first Starbucks is the only one where the mermaid has nipples, and that is true. Whether or not that means you should go is up for debate, but it's definitely true.
Do you know what? I think that we did go there because we went to it's like the Pike Place, right next to the downtown, next to the river. Yes, so we went to that area. That's where I was with my cousin. Oh man, there's the aquarium. We should have gone to the aquarium. We didn't.
You love aquariums. We're going to get to that in the next episode.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
Yeah, there's going to be half an hour on the aquarium and half an hour on the rest of California. And I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be good.
Hopefully, a lot of the San Francisco trip was spent, or the Bay Area trip was spent with Joey Shoji, who fully documented the entire experience on Facebook. So there's lots of pictures. I did go to the Monterey Bay Aquarium.
Spoilers! You can't tell people that.
Oh, sorry.
We've got to get them to come back next time.
Yeah, that's true. Ugh.
Tune in
Anyway.
next time for knowledge of which aquariums Anna has visited.
Yes. Which amazing aquarium did you go to in the Bay Area?
I've never been. I'd love to go, but I've never been. I assume I should go.
Yeah. Avoid cuttlefish. Anyway, try not to get too excited. But yes, the what else are we talking about?
Did you go on the monorail?
I don't remember.
That's fair.
I don't remember. I mean, I feel like I probably did. But then again, if I was being driven, like most of it, I think I was being driven around and like being picked up and taken to places. So I probably, actually, maybe I didn't. If I did, it was like a couple of stops.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I think
I'm pretty sure on the day that I met up with my cousin was before we went to the Elephant and Castle. So I think I then like went there from where I was meeting him, but I can't remember whether he drove me or whatever. There you go.
fair enough.
It's probably not the most interesting part.
It's all interesting, Alan. Lived experience.
Something like that.
And so the other kind of thing is, did you go to the Space Needle?
No. I saw it because we were at the Seattle Centre where the Chihuly exhibit was. And I can't remember whether it was a case of Rika asked if I wanted to go and it just wasn't really something I wanted to do, or we weren't able to get tickets, or it was closed, or it was busy. All of those are completely plausible. I think that if it was a case of I had the option of the weird glass exhibit or the Space Needle, I was like, yeah, I think we were too knackered. Actually, yeah, I think you're probably right, yeah. So Rika said we think we were too knackered. I think because we'd already done both things, or it was closed. And then we had the party that evening. So it was just quite a lot. And we did so much walking around the gardens because we walked like everywhere, and all of it was just really beautiful. So I think we're pretty tired.
That is fair enough. Jerry asked what your feel of the neighborhoods in Seattle was like versus New York and Toronto.
Oh, I think it was the first place that felt very much like a neighborhood that you see on TV. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It felt like that kind of American neighborhood that's quite uniform, and all the houses are gigantic, but they're like, oh, we just have a small house. And you're like, I grew up in London in like an Edwardian terrace house. Like, this is not, like, we grew up in a big house, and our house is tiny compared to this. So yeah, but it felt very, it was also steep. I seem to remember like everything was kind of like that. That was not very helpful since it was on camera. It was like all the houses kind of built on hills and the neighborhoods I went to. But yeah, I think that was the thing that was, it's very interesting going to a place that's planned.
Yes.
As an English person,
yes.
Or even possibly as a person who's mostly visited Europe. It's very interesting to see everything is uphill both ways. Yes, everything is uphill both ways. But it's very interesting to see a place that is built because it was planned to be built like that. So all the neighborhoods are planned out. And so it's all kind of quite even and like spacious, but also it was very interesting. They all seem very lovely. But I think there was a place that felt most like American suburbs, if that makes sense.
That's
Except
fair.
all on hills, which isn't always the case on TV.
Yeah, that's legit. Did you, in the States, or in North America generally, I suppose, but more likely in the States, I think, did you find you had trouble getting served alcohol at all? Because in Seattle, that was the one place that I
Oh.
had trouble, and it just reminded me.
I remembering to take my passport everywhere because I don't have any other form of ID. I didn't have like a driver's license. Not sure even how well that would have gone over necessarily. I don't know. But anyway, didn't have a driver's license. I was like fucking 30 and still getting ID'd because you just always get ID'd. And that was just like, I mean, so in the UK for American people, generally there is now it's kind of, obviously the drinking age is 18, but
Yeah.
I looked 12. It probably, Ulrika says I looked like I was 12, and it probably didn't help that I had like highlighter fluorescent pink hair and dressed in bright colours and had this whole kind of thing, which makes people have an assumption that you're younger. But in the UK, while the drinking is 18, if you look under about 21, that's generally what the like posters say. If you look under 21, they'll ID you.
Yeah.
So the fact that in the US, if you look under 30, they ID you is just like, wow. Oh, is it 25? Well, Alison says that now they have to look under 25, but it's
but the point stands. I think I get
it does stand, but also at the same time, I'm like, I think if you look like you really are just tired and don't give a shit and aren't scared buying alcohol, you're probably fine.
Well, the thing is that in the UK, I used to get served at 16, so I don't even really think they check to see whether you look 25.
No.
But that
100%.
I think is changing more recently.
I definitely was, drinking actively in a bar at 16 as a regular, but there you go. The fact that a number of friends I have in the UK regularly drank in a bar, and then when they turned 18 applied for a job at that bar and got it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I had my 18th birthday party at a pub that I'd been drinking at for 2 years, and no one regarded that as strong.
No, exactly.
So yeah, I think the attitudes are a little bit different in the UK.
I think exactly.
But I do. On the subject of driving licenses, Randy took me to a bar. Randy Byers took me to a bar near the university, and I just took my wallet. I had my driving license in, didn't think of anything of it, and the chap who served us said, "Have you got some ID?" So I showed him my driving license, and he looked at it and he said, "This isn't American." And I was like, "No, that is true. The British flag on it is the clue." But we had to go somewhere else because they did not regard my driving license as sufficient proof that I was old enough to drink. So I had to go back there with a passport. So even if you'd had a driving license, it might not have been enough.
Exactly. I think the fact that I had to make sure I brought my passport everywhere, and every time I forgot was really annoying. I think by that point I was remembering it, but not necessarily. It was also, if you're going out all day, then I didn't necessarily want to have it on me all the time.
Yeah.
But then of course you have to.
Yeah.
So
no, it is. Yeah, that's fair. So all this talking about alcohol has got me thirsty.
Yes.
So do you have anything you want to add about Seattle, or should we open it up to drinking and group conversation?
Yes, I think the only thing is, especially since most of them are on the chat, special thanks to Suzel and Jerry and Eureka, and even though she's not here, Jane, for looking after me so well when I was out there. I had a really lovely time.
Yay.
And that's it.
Hurrah.